Noah found the room behind the wall because the wall whispered first. It happened at 2:17 in the morning, while the whole house slept and the rain tapped softly against the windows like fingers asking to be let in. He was lying awake in the guest bedroom, staring at the ceiling, trying not to think about why his father had brought him to that place, when the sound came from behind the wardrobe. A slow breath, then a pause, then his name spoken in a voice that sounded like someone had learned speech by listening through pipes. Noah. He sat up so fast the bed frame cracked against the wall. The room went silent. He held his breath and waited, but nothing moved. The wardrobe stood exactly where it had been since they arrived, heavy, old, and swollen from damp air, with one door hanging slightly open, like a tired mouth. His father had told him not to touch anything in the house because it belonged to his great aunt, because the place was being sold, because they were only staying 1 week. But the whisper came again, quieter this time, closer to the wood. Noah, come see what was left for you. The voice did not sound cruel. That made it worse. Cruel things could be hated. This sounded patient, almost sad. Noah slipped out of bed and crossed the cold floorboards. The house seemed to lean around him as he moved. Every board under his feet gave a soft complaint, but nothing else stirred. No sound from his father's room, no sound from the hall, no sound from the storm outside, even though rain still streaked the glass. He reached the wardrobe and pulled it away from the wall with slow, careful strength. Dust tore loose in gray sheets. Behind it, the wallpaper bulged outward around the shape of a door that had been painted over again and again until it looked like part of the wall. A brass keyhole waited at chest height, though there was no handle. Noah touched the paper. The surface was warm. The whisper sighed through the keyhole. Thank you. He ran for his father, then stopped at the door, because the hallway beyond was not the hallway he had walked through earlier. It stretched too long into darkness, and every framed photograph on the wall had turned toward him, though the faces inside were only shadows now. One picture at the far end showed Noah standing in the bedroom doorway, exactly as he was in that moment, his hand on the knob, his mouth open, his eyes wide. Beneath the photo, someone had written in thin black letters, "First night." He slammed the door shut and backed away. His heart hit so hard it hurt. The whisper behind the wall laughed softly, not mocking him, just pleased. The key is under your pillow. Noah did not want to look. He already knew it would be there. He turned slowly and saw the lump under the pillowcase, as if something small had crawled beneath it while he stood at the door. He lifted the pillow with 2 fingers. A black key lay on the sheet, wet with condensation, though the room was dry. It was too old, too heavy, and colder than metal should be. The moment he picked it up, every light in the house flickered once, and a sound rose from somewhere below them, a deep, shifting groan, like a foundation waking under the weight of a bad dream. His father's voice called from the hallway, "Noah, what are you doing?" The voice was tired, annoyed, normal. Noah nearly cried from relief. He opened the door, but the hallway was still wrong, and his father stood at the far end in his robe, beneath the crooked photographs. His face was hidden in shadow, though the hall light glowed directly above him. Noah stepped back. "Dad." His father lifted one hand. "Come here." The voice was perfect, but the hand was not. It had too many joints. The fingers opened one segment at a time, Noah shut the door and locked it, though there had been no lock a second before. Something struck the door from the other side, once hard enough to shake dust from the ceiling. The thing outside spoke in his father's voice again, now flat and bored. "You were supposed to come here first." The room behind the wardrobe exhaled. The key turned in Noah's fist, though he had not moved it. The painted door behind the wardrobe clicked open by itself, no wider than a crack. Cold, black air slid into the bedroom, carrying the smell of old paper, wet soil, and something sweet that had spoiled years ago. From inside the hidden room came another voice. Not the whisper, not his father. A child crying very quietly. Noah looked through the crack. He saw a narrow room where no room could fit. Its walls were covered from floor to ceiling with drawings. Drawings of the house. Drawings of bedrooms. Drawings of people sleeping. Drawings of doors opening in places doors did not belong. At the center of the room stood a small wooden chair facing the wall, and on the chair sat a tape recorder, turning slowly, though no tape was inside. The crying came from it. Noah stepped closer, because some part of him could not help wanting to know. The recorder clicked, and the crying stopped. A child's voice spoke from the empty. "If you are hearing this, then the house has chosen someone new. Do not trust anyone who calls from the hall. Do not sleep facing a door. Do not answer when it uses your name. And whatever you do not look into the walls when they open." The wardrobe behind him creaked. Noah turned. The mirror inside its door showed the hidden room behind him, but in the reflection, he was not alone. Something tall stood in the corner, where the real corner was empty, bent under the ceiling, with its head pressed sideways against the wall, as if listening to the house breathe. It had no face, only a wet hollow where a face had been, and inside that hollow, dozens of tiny eyes blinked open, one by one. Noah dropped the key. The hidden door opened all the way, and the room swallowed the light. Noah woke on the floor of the guest bedroom, with daylight pressing against the curtains, and his father shaking his shoulder hard enough to hurt. For one confused second, everything looked ordinary. The wardrobe stood against the wall exactly where it had been before. The wallpaper behind it was hidden. The bed was twisted from sleep. The black key was gone. His father looked pale, angry, and afraid, in the way adults look when they want to be angry, because fear would mean losing control. "What happened in here?" he asked. Noah sat up slowly. His throat burned as if he had been screaming, but he remembered no scream. He remembered the hidden room, the recorder, the reflection, and the thing with eyes inside its face. He pointed at the wardrobe. "There is a door behind it." His father stared at him, then at the wardrobe. "Do not start that, Noah. I mean it. We have enough to deal with." He crossed the room and shoved the wardrobe aside with more force than needed. The wall behind it was smooth. No bulge, no keyhole, no painted seam. Just old yellow wallpaper patterned with faded flowers. His father turned back with a look Noah hated because it mixed pity with disappointment. "You had a nightmare. This house is old. It makes noises." Noah pushed himself to his feet and touched the wallpaper. It was cold now, dead ordinary. Then his finger caught on something tiny tucked into the paper seam. A photograph. He pulled it free before his father could see. It was black and white and still damp. On it, Noah lay on the floor where he had woken. His father stood over him, shaking his shoulder. In the background, behind the wardrobe, a dark crack opened in the wall, and from inside it, a thin hand reached toward Noah's sleeping face. The photograph had been taken from inside the room that did not exist. Noah folded it quickly and hid it in his pocket. His father, "We leave in 6 days. I need you to hold it together." He said it gently, but not kindly, and Noah knew the trip was not really about selling the house. It was about money. It was about arguments whispered through walls back home. It was about his father needing something from this place badly enough to ignore every wrong thing inside it. Breakfast tasted like dust. They sat in the kitchen beneath a ceiling stained brown with old leaks. His father talked about paperwork, about realtors, about cleaning the east rooms. Noah barely listened. Every few seconds, his eyes drifted to the hallway where the photographs hung in 2 long rows. Ancestors he had never met. People with stiff collars and unsmiling mouths. The strange thing was not that they looked severe. The strange thing was that every time Noah looked away and back, their heads seemed turned a little more toward the kitchen. After breakfast, his father went to the study to make calls and told Noah to unpack the boxes in the sitting room. Noah waited until he heard the study door shut, then went straight to the hall. The photographs watched him openly now, not moving while he looked, but changed between blinks. A woman in a black dress who had faced left, now faced forward. A man with a white beard had lowered his chin. A little girl in a lace collar pressed both hands against the inside of her frame, as if against glass. Noah moved along the wall, reading the names on tarnished plates. Elias Morn, 1874. Clara Morn, 1889. Samuel Morn, 1901. Lydia Morn, 1906. The family name was his mother's family name, though she had died before she could tell him anything about this house. At the end of the hall hung a frame with no plate. The glass was dark as a mirror. Noah saw himself in it, and behind him the kitchen door opening, though he knew he had closed it. In the reflection, his mother stood in the kitchen doorway, wearing the green coat from the last photograph he had of her. Her hair was wet from rain. Her face was turned away. Noah forgot how to breathe. "Mom?" The reflection raised one finger to its lips. He spun around. The kitchen doorway was empty. When he turned back, the dark frame no longer reflected the hall. It showed the hidden room behind the wardrobe, the small chair, the drawings, the tape recorder, and now, one new drawing on the wall. A boy standing before a row of photographs while something wearing his mother's coat watched from the kitchen. Noah backed away and bumped into a frame. The glass behind him tapped once from the inside. He turned. The little girl in lace stared at him from her photograph. Her painted lips moved. "Help me." He stumbled back. She moved again, though the image itself remained frozen in its old pose. "Do not let him put your picture up." Her eyes flicked to the empty, dark frame at the end of the hall. Noah felt cold spread through his stomach. Footsteps sounded from the study. His father appeared at the far end, holding an old folder. His expression had changed. He looked excited in a way that made him seem younger and worse. "Noah, listen to this. The deed has a clause about direct inheritance. If we prove your mother's line stayed connected to the house, we can claim more than the sale value. Noah barely heard him because the dark, empty frame behind his father now held a new photograph. It showed his father standing exactly where he stood, holding the folder and smiling, while a tall, faceless shape leaned over his shoulder, with one long hand resting gently on his head. Noah shouted, "Dad, move!" His father frowned. At that instant, the study door behind him slammed open, and darkness poured across the ceiling like smoke. The photographs along the hall began knocking from inside their frames, not random, but in perfect rhythm, like applause. The thing behind his father spoke in a voice made of many relatives. "Welcome home." His father did not see the thing until the hallway light above him burst and glass rained onto his shoulders. He ducked with a curse, and the darkness pulled back just enough for him to turn. The faceless shape behind him had already retreated into the study, leaving the door open and black. His father stared into the room, breathing hard. What was that? Noah wanted to scream that he had been trying to tell him, but the words jammed behind his teeth. The photographs kept knocking softly from inside their frames. His father looked at them, then at Noah, then at the folder in his hand, as if trying to choose which impossible thing mattered most. "We are leaving," he said. The moment he said it, every door in the house shut at once, not slammed, shut gently, politely, with a soft sequence of clicks. Locks turned inside walls. Windows darkened, though daylight still pressed outside. The kitchen clock stopped at 2:17. Noah's father ran to the front door and pulled hard. The handle turned, but the door did not open. From the other side, someone knocked 3 times. His father froze. The knock came again. A woman's voice spoke from outside. It was Noah's mother. "Let me in, please. I am cold." Noah grabbed his father's arm. "Do not answer." His father stared at the door with a face emptied by grief. The voice came again, softer now, closer to the keyhole. "I came back for you." Noah felt the house leaning in, waiting. His father took one step toward the door. Noah shouted, "She is not there!" But grief is a door too, and his father had been standing before it for years. His hand rose toward the lock. The dark frame at the end of the hall flashed with a new image. His father opening the front door. His mother standing outside smiling, with rain running upward across her face. Behind her, the sky was full of watching eyes. Noah grabbed the folder from his father's hand and threw it down the hall. The papers scattered. The knocking stopped instantly. His father blinked as if waking. The mother's voice outside changed into something low and irritated. That was unkind. The hallway floor split open in a thin line between them and the front door. Noah pulled his father backward as black roots pushed up through the wood. Not roots exactly. Fingers. Long, jointed fingers rising in clusters and feeling the air. The house groaned around them. Not old wood this time. A voice under the beams, under the plaster, under the bones of the place. Noah realized then that the house was not sheltering the thing. The house was the thing, and everything inside it was an organ. The photographs were eyes, the walls were lungs, the doors were teeth. The hidden room was a mouth that had learned patience. His father stumbled back against the stair railing. The little girl in the photograph whispered to Noah again, "Burn the names." He looked at her frame. She mouthed it slower. "Burn the names." Noah looked at the scattered folder. The papers were old family records, birth certificates, deeds, letters, all tied to the Morn line. The house wanted proof. It wanted inheritance. It wanted him because he was connected through blood and memory. His father had brought the missing piece straight to its door. Noah dropped to his knees and gathered the papers. The floor fingers snapped toward him. He jerked back as they scraped the wood inches from his hands. His father finally moved, grabbing a brass lamp from the table and smashing it down on the fingers. They vanished into the crack with a hiss. The house shuddered. Noah ran to the kitchen with the papers clutched to his chest. His father followed, limping. The gas stove still worked, though the power was dead, because old houses keep old hungers alive. Noah turned the knob. Blue flame bloomed. His father grabbed his wrist. "Wait, these papers are worth everything." Noah looked at him and saw the truth there. The desperation, the debt, the fear of losing the last thing his wife had left behind. "Dad, this is what it wants." His father looked toward the hall, where the photographs had begun shaking violently in their frames. Faces opened their mouths in silent protest. The mother's voice came from the front door again, now layered with dozens of others. "Please do not erase us. We waited so long." Noah held the first paper over the flame. The moment it caught fire, the house screamed. The sound came through the pipes, through the walls, through every frame at once. His father flinched back. The burning paper curled black. Names vanished into ash. Samuel, Clara, Elias, Lydia. The hidden room door appeared again in the kitchen wall, this time wide open. Inside, the drawings writhed like trapped insects. The small chair had turned to face them. A child sat in it now, pale and thin, wearing old clothes, with eyes too tired for its face. The child from the recorder
looked at Noah and nodded. "Keep going." Noah fed more papers into the flame. His father joined him then, with shaking hands and shame in his eyes. Together they burned deeds, letters, records, photographs hidden between documents. The house convulsed. Doors opened and shut without rhythm. The ceiling sagged, then lifted. The hallway stretched, long, then short. The faceless shape appeared at the kitchen entrance, taller now, angrier, its hollow face filled with blinking eyes. The flame on the stove bent toward it as if bowing. The shape spoke in Noah's mother's voice, then his father's, then Noah's own. "I remembered you before you were born." Noah held the last paper. It was his mother's birth certificate. His father whispered, "I am sorry." Noah dropped it into the fire. The hidden room erupted with light, not bright, warm, like morning through curtains. For a heartbeat, Noah saw every trapped face in the photographs turn toward him, not angry now, but awake. The little girl smiled. The child in the chair stood. The faceless shape opened its hollow mouth, and all the eyes inside shut at once. Then the walls began to bleed in darkness. The fire did not spread like normal fire. It burned only names, only ink, only proof. And when the last of the birth certificate curled into ash, the flame collapsed inward with a sound like a door closing far underground. The kitchen fell dark again. The hidden room remained open, but empty now. The chair was overturned. The drawings had gone blank. The faceless shape stood in the doorway, trembling as if the house beneath it had lost balance. For 1 second, Noah believed they had won. Then the shape smiled without a mouth, and the entire house smiled with it. The floor tilted hard. His father crashed into the table. Noah slammed against the counter. The hallway outside stretched impossibly long, and every door along it opened onto a different room they had not seen before. Rooms filled with hanging coats that breathed. Rooms where tables were set for meals rotted black.
rooms where beds were tucked neatly around shapes that moved beneath sheets. The house had lost its records, but not its hunger. The faceless thing stepped into the kitchen, and the walls bowed toward it like servants. Noah's father stood between it and Noah, holding the broken lamp, though both knew it was useless. "Go," he said. Noah shook his head. The thing tilted its head with awful curiosity. The father's voice came from inside its hollow face. "Stay together, then." It reached one hand toward the kitchen light. The bulb filled with static and burst. Darkness slammed over them. Noah felt his father grab his shoulder and shove him toward the open, hidden room. He fell through the doorway, not into the little room, but onto wet earth under a black sky. He looked up and saw the house from outside, though he had not left it. It towered above him, impossibly tall. Every window lit from within, every window filled with silhouettes watching. The front door stood open like a mouth. His father fell beside him, gasping. The ground around them was a garden of buried frames. Hundreds of photographs stuck upright in the mud like grave markers, each one showing a person trapped in a room of the house. Some pounded silently on the glass. Some stared without hope. Some had already turned away. The child from the recorder stood between the frames, holding a match that burned with blue flame. "You burned the names," he said, "but not the attention." Noah struggled to understand. The child pointed at the windows. "The house remembers what looked at it, and what it looked at back. It does not need blood if it has fear." His father whispered, "How do we kill it?" The child looked at him sadly. "You do not kill a house like this. You make it forget how to find you." Noah felt the black key appear in his pocket, heavy and cold, though he had dropped it hours ago. The child looked at the pocket and nodded. "The key opens the room that watches. The room that watches must be blinded." The house groaned, and every window turned toward them. The faceless shape appeared in the front doorway, stretching taller than the frame. It stepped onto the mud, and the buried photographs began to shake. Noah ran with his father through the garden, following the child toward a small shed at the edge of the impossible yard. The shed had no door, only a keyhole floating in the air where a door should have been. Noah pushed the black key into empty space and turned it. The world clicked. A rectangular seam of darkness opened before them. Beyond it was not a shed. It was the inside of the walls. They stepped through into a narrow passage between plaster and wood where dust hung thick and wires ran like veins. The house sounds were louder here. Breathing, water moving, slow teeth grinding somewhere deep. The child whispered, "This is where it watches." They moved sideways through the wall passage, while the faceless thing scraped along behind them outside the walls, calling in voices they loved and voices they feared. Noah saw holes in the plaster no bigger than coins, and through each hole a room appeared. Guest bedroom, kitchen hall, study rooms from their lives, rooms from homes they had never entered, rooms belonging to strangers sleeping across unknown towns. Each hole was an eye. The house had been watching through cracks, reflections, screens, memories. Anywhere attention made an opening. At the end of the passage was a chamber, round and low, filled with mirrors facing inward. Each mirror showed a different version of Noah. Some younger, some older, some asleep, some screaming, some standing with a faceless hollow where his features should be. In the center hung a single large eye made of glass, wood, and moving wallpaper. It rotated slowly toward him. The child whispered, "Do not let it see your fear." Noah wanted to laugh because fear was all he had. The eye opened fully and showed him his mother on her last day, not as memory, but as presence, sitting on the edge of his bed, smiling tiredly, brushing hair from his forehead. The grief hit so hard he nearly stepped forward. His father caught him, but the eye turned to him next and showed him debts, unpaid, letters, unopened. His wife, alive in the kitchen, saying she forgave him. He sobbed once and reached out. The mirrors brightened. The house fed. The child shouted, "Close your eyes." Noah did. He dragged his father down with him. The chamber screamed because unseen fear has no shape to swallow. Noah crawled blind across the floor, feeling for the hanging eye. The mirrors whispered, "Open your eyes. Open your eyes. See her. See him. See what you lost." The voice of his mother said, "Noah, please. I am right here." He kept his eyes shut and reached into the dark. His fingers touched something warm and wet and made of paper. The eye shuddered. He squeezed. The house convulsed. The mirrors cracked one by one with sharp, beautiful sounds. His father crawled beside him and gripped the eye too. Together they crushed it in the dark. The watching chamber burst. When Noah opened his eyes, he was back in the real kitchen, with his father beside him and the wardrobe lying on its side across the floor, though it belonged upstairs. Morning light poured through every window, at once too bright, too clean. The house was silent in a way that felt confused. The walls no longer breathed. The photographs in the hallway showed only empty rooms now. No people, no faces, no watchers. The hidden door behind the wardrobe hung open, but beyond it was only a shallow closet filled with dust. The black key lay in the sink, cracked in half. Noah's father sat on the floor with his back against the cabinets. Noah wanted to comfort him, but did not know how, because something inside Noah had changed too. The world looked thinner at the edges, as if he had seen the boards behind the stage and could never fully believe in the painted scenery again. After a long time, his father stood. "We are leaving now." His voice carried no argument this time. No paperwork, no money, no sale. They packed nothing. They crossed the hall quickly. The front door opened when his father touched it. Outside, the day was gray and wet. The car waited in the drive, covered in leaves, though it had been clean yesterday. Noah stepped onto the porch and felt the house behind him become less certain, as if it were trying to remember where its rooms belonged. The upper windows blinked once, not with eyes but with shutters shifting in the wind. His father pulled him toward the car. "Do not look back." Noah almost obeyed, but at the last second he turned. The house stood crooked and ordinary at the end of the drive. Yet in the upstairs guest bedroom window, a small figure stood watching. Not the faceless thing, not his mother, the child from the recorder. He raised one hand in farewell. Then the curtains fell closed. They drove until the house disappeared behind trees. His father kept both hands locked on the wheel. Noah watched the road unspool ahead. Every reflective surface made him uneasy. The rearview mirror, the wet windshield, the black screen of his father's phone. In each one,
he expected to see a hollow face or a room that should not exist. But for miles, there was only road, rain, and silence. Then his father spoke. I should have listened. Noah did not answer. His father swallowed hard. I thought if I sold it, if I fixed everything, maybe losing her would mean something. Noah looked at him, then at the road. It meant something already. His father nodded once and wiped his face with his sleeve. They did not go home immediately. They stopped at a motel outside a town neither of them knew. The room smelled like bleach and cheap soap. His father pushed the dresser in front of the door before Noah asked. They slept with every light on, or tried to. Noah lay awake, listening to the hum of the mini-fridge and the distant rush of cars on the highway. At 2:17, the television clicked on by itself. White static filled the screen. Noah sat up so fast the blanket fell away. His father woke instantly and grabbed the remote. The screen went black before he pressed anything. In the dark glass, Noah saw the motel room reflected correctly. But for a moment, behind his reflection, there was wallpaper patterned with faded flowers. His father saw it too. They left before dawn. Months passed. The house burned down before it could be sold. The fire department said lightning, though there had been no storm. The local paper printed one photograph of the ruins. Noah cut it out and stared at it for too long, because in the charred remains, he could still see the shape of the hidden room, standing untouched at the center of the ash, like a tooth left in a dead mouth. His father threw the clipping away. Noah retrieved it later without knowing why. The nightmares began after that. Not every night, but often enough. He dreamed of walls opening in unfamiliar places, school bathrooms, grocery store aisles, the back of his closet. Each time the hidden room waited beyond them. Blank walls, blank chair, blank recorder. And each time, a voice from the recorder said, "It forgot most of us, but not you." Noah learned not to tell his father, because his father already looked older than he should. He learned to sleep facing away from doors. He learned to cover mirrors at night. He learned that forgetting is not the same as being free. On the anniversary of the fire, a package arrived with no return address. Inside was the black key, repaired with a thin silver seam down its middle, and a single photograph Noah had never seen before. It showed him standing in the motel room, asleep beside his father. The television was on. In the static on the screen, a house slowly rebuilt itself, board by board. Behind the photograph, someone had written in the child's handwriting, "It remembers through you now." Noah burned the photograph in the sink. The smoke smelled like old wallpaper. The key would not burn.
Not because he trusted it, but because he understood it. Years later, when people asked why every mirror in his home faced the wall at night, he smiled and told them, old habits. When children in his family said their bedrooms whispered, he listened. He never told them they were imagining things. He checked the walls. He checked the frames. He taught them to close doors kindly and firmly. He taught them never to answer a voice that came from inside wood. He taught them that some places are hungry, but hunger is not power unless fed. And every year, on the night the old house burned, Noah sat awake with the black key on the table before him, listening to the world breathe around him. At 2:17, something always knocked once from inside the nearest wall.
soft, polite, patient. And every year, Noah placed his hand against the plaster and whispered, "You may remember me, but you may not enter." The knocking always stopped after that. But one year, when Noah was old and gray, and the key had turned silver with age, a child in the next room laughed in her sleep, and the wall behind him whispered a name that was not his. Noah opened his eyes slowly and understood. The house had not come back for him. It had learned to wait for someone who did not know the rules yet.